But first tonight, Eyewitness News is your local election headquarters with an update on last night's recall election. Despite facing federal criminal charges, Fall River Mayor Jason Pereira is keeping his job, even though there were enough votes to recall him from office.
And new tonight, we're hearing from a professor who says he was worried the election would end this way. Eyewitness News reporter Eric Halpern joins us now live in Fall River with the details. Eric?
Mike and Caroline, I talked with that public policy professor and one of the people who helped organize the original recall effort. They both say while yesterday's results are unusual, they weren't surprised. At his election night party Tuesday, Mayor Jason Pereira told reporters Wednesday is the first day campaigning for the regular mayoral election in November.
I would hope that in the next election in November that they vote for me.
Eyewitness News was unable to meet with him today despite being at his office when he got to work one day after Fall River voters voted to recall Mayor Pereira, but then voted to keep him as mayor too.
I do think this is an unusual occurrence.
Michael Goodman is a professor of public policy at UMass Dartmouth. He was watching the race closely. According to unofficial election results, about 60% of voters voted to recall Pereira on the first question. On the second question, who people wanted to be mayor, roughly 35% chose Pereira, and about 65% of the vote was split between the four candidates running against him.
It's clear that the existing process of dealing with recall elections in Fall River ultimately frustrated the will of the voters yesterday, as a clear majority of them expressed the preference to have a new person in City Hall.
Goodman says given the number of candidates, the results are not surprising. He says if the field had been smaller, there's a good chance the outcome would have been different. Joseph Pereira also told me that over the phone today. He helped organize the recall effort after Pereira was indicted on federal fraud charges. The mayor has pleaded not guilty.
If they had thrown in and maybe somewhere along the lines of, hey, I'm showing all my support to this other guy, it would have been completely different.
And school committee member Paul Coogan was the closest to beating Pereira with about 34% of the vote, roughly 250 votes behind Pereira. He's since hinted at a possible run in the fall. Live in Fall River, I'm Eric Halpern, Eyewitness News.
All right, thanks, Eric. And we're joined now by Eyewitness News political reporter Ted Nesi. Ted, I was there last night at Pereira's watch party as the results came in. I got to tell you, a lot of people were stunned that the mayor is still in office. The fact that he was recalled and then reelected in the same election.
Definitely, Caroline. That's what I'm hearing today as well. And I think Eric hit the important point there. A majority of Fall River voters wanted Jason Pereira out, but that same majority couldn't agree on who should replace him. So his diehard supporters were enough to keep him in place. But I do think Mayor Pereira has to be concerned longer term, because Fall River voters are going back to the polls in November for another mayoral election, and unlike yesterday, this time there will only be two candidates on the ballot, and the winner will therefore need more than 50% of the vote. So that means the mayor needs to win over a lot of people who tried to get rid of him yesterday if he wants to stay in City Hall after November. And then, of course, we don't know what's going to happen with his federal case between now and then.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of time to do that.
No.
All right, Ted, thank you very much.